Welcome to Beers and Brawls, the show where my guests and I drink beer and talk all things wrestling. I'm your host Jared, and joining me on tonight's show is a guy that you've seen all over Adelaide wrestling scene. He's a ring announcer, a commentator, social media expert, technical wizard. He does everything except wrestle. He is Angus R Dacey. Angus, thank you for joining me on today's show.
Thank you very much, Jared. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you coming in. Something a bit different for us. Like we've obviously had wrestlers, referees, but now we've got we've had managers. Now we've got ourselves a ring announcer, commentator, and you do all the videography, social media work for Riot City, ACW, stuff like that.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Just to tell your whole life story in one go.
Thank you, yes.
Yeah, something different for us, so I'm really excited. Really glad that you came in and agreed to do this. So what's been happening, man? How's life going? How's the wrestling scene?
Wrestling scene is busy. As you mentioned, I do dabble in almost every promotion in South Australia. I've done something for them. Whether it be ring announcing, as you mentioned, I've done a bit of that. Commentary, which I guess these days is my primary kind of, like, that's what you'll see, or hear me rather. But also for the past, I reckon, three and a half, almost 4 years, I've mainly, been doing videography, editing. So every Riot City wrestling show that you see up on YouTube, edited by me. Digital media such as like the social media posts, like promos, match graphics, entrance videos, the list goes on. It keeps me busy.
Yeah, definitely.
It keeps me very busy.
With the amount of shows that Riot City are pumping out at the moment, that must be a very busy job. So and I'm obviously watching them, so great quality.
Thank you.
Free on YouTube, guys. Riot City, subscribe to them, get on there. But awesome quality. The little graphics, everything really cool.
Thank you.
And you appear on there, so they do see you.
I do. Yeah, that was a new thing this year. I've been lending my voice to the commentary for RCW, and hey, look, it's a learning experience, but I think I'm getting there.
Yeah.
I hope I am.
No, absolutely. I don't have any critique, mate. I think it's really good. So, welcome you to the show. We do have a nice little shot.
Lovely. What is this?
Bit of rum. A last name that's really close to my heart. If you know, you know.
Oh, Goslings, yes.
But chuck one of these. It's a bit of nice rum, mate.
Very nice.
Bit of Caribbean rum just to go with the cricket that's on.
Caribbean, huh? Oh, the West Indies might need this more than I do.
All right.
Very nice.
Cheers, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Down it goes. Ooh, that's smooth.
Yeah, no, very, very smooth this one. So
not a lot of kickback, so that's good.
No, easy to drink. Great with a bit of coconut. But
that's good.
Goslings rum. Sponsor us.
Go down to BWS today.
And
get yourself a lovely Goslings rum since 1806.
And make sure it's a Black Seal one. They got a different one. I haven't had that one, but Black Seal is the way to go.
Very good.
Alright, so thank you, man. So we'll get into the questions now. Rapid fire questions.
Rapid fire?
It's 10 and 5 minutes, so you got plenty of time, but whatever comes to mind, man, just fire away with your answers.
Good, alright, so it's like a free association kind of thing, is it?
Yeah, you just go for it. Whatever answer you want to chuck in there. Now, I'm going to modify them, obviously, from what fans know most of the questions are, because they're for the wrestlers in the ring, yes. But we'll modify them the best we can.
Alright, interesting to see what we've got.
Working on the fly here, that's a wrestling term, right?
Working on the fly, So we'll call it in the ring.
Oh, these kids these days. Alright. So, first question. Well, actually, we have to get the timer up before we even start that.
Alright, cool. Timer.
That's probably going to be a good idea. And now my timer's fucking died.
So 5 minutes to answer 10 questions. So my economy is about one question every 30 seconds.
Oh, it's easy, mate.
Alright, we'll see how we go.
Alright, time starts now. Who are you? What are you all about? We've already talked about it a bit, but if you need to elaborate more on who you are and what you do around the place.
Well, my name is Angus R Dacey, the historian, as some people say. One thing I didn't mention, actually, when it came to my list, is I'm also the archivist for Riot City Wrestling. So I am the custodian of the video library of every single show that we have on tape, which is most of them, going back to 2006. So if you ever go on Cage Match and you see all your results, I'm the guy who puts them there.
There you go, wrestlers.
So there's that, and yes, like commentator, announcer, the whole shebang, as they say.
Nice.
But yeah, that's why they call me the historian, because I always have those little factoids, those little snippets of information that I kind of pepper in.
I like that. That's cool. So wrestlers, make sure you thank him for all your stats on Cage Match.
Yes, I want to point out, I believe I'm responsible for getting the Brady's there 58th spot on the PWI Top 100, because if I didn't put those results on there, they wouldn't have seen them. So
that's correct, and congratulations to the Brady's. We'll talk about them more after when we don't eat up the time. But when did you get into the wrestling business?
So I got in February or January of 2019, and I got involved through a company, a now defunct company called Iron Fist Pro Wrestling, which ran the Adelaide scene. And look, I have nothing, like, no ill will for the guy who ran it, but the company did fold, and then I got involved in RCW because the management of RCW saw what I was doing at Iron Fist, and they said, "Hey, we've got a gap for guys like you." Me and Carmine Laguzio, shout out to him. We came in together, so we both worked at Iron Fist.
Nice.
And we came over to RCW.
Okay, nice, awesome. We did try to contact him for this show, but he's just too busy.
So. He said he'll come on at some point.
Well, he told me he was too busy. His manager, no, couldn't get Who's your favourite wrestler? Just of all time.
Of all time, I'm gonna go front of mind, Jericho. Let's go Chris Jericho.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason for that is when I was a kid, I was a big fan of him.
Yeah.
When he reinvented himself in the suit era, I was very upset. And then now recently he's done a lot of good stuff. Like he's matching against Ishii and Bandito. Recently, his work even like into his 50s is incredible. So but there's some other guys who I think might catch up to him. But right now, for his total body of work, let's go Chris Jericho.
Yeah, no, I like that answer. That's awesome, man. What match at RCW, let's say, has been your favourite since you got there?
Oh, you know what? I'm gonna go. It was actually my first night in RCW officially. It was Matt Hayter, Chris Basso at Key to the City 2019.
Ooh.
Yeah, which is a few years ago now. It was just before they teamed up together, so it was their last match. It's a really, really good match, so I recommend if you want to check it out. It's on YouTube right now.
YouTube, check it out, guys. Well, two very, very good talents in RCW, top of the pile there, so would be a really good match. That's awesome. What wrestler in Australian wrestling would you challenge to a drinking competition?
This is a very easy one. I think other people might have said it. Caden Cornell, I think I could take very easily.
I don't know if he's been listed as the answer.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
normally like a Down Under or someone like that.
No, because I've seen Cornell handle a drink, and I've seen him pass out on my couch after one too many, so I think I could take him.
Nice. I like that. If any, what's been your most embarrassing moment since working in the wrestling industry?
I think, I don't know. I think my first night on commentary, I accidentally called Paul Roberts Sean Fuster in a match, and it was like my first match, and I was like all geared up, and I don't know why I called him Sean. I don't know.
That's a big,
It was my first thing. I'm like, oh, this is it. I'm done.
You're sitting right next to the guy, and you've called him the wrong.
I got no chemistry with him, but no, we do actually have chemistry.
No, we definitely do now. So, no, that's fair enough. What are your goals in the wrestling industry?
I think my goals are more so to like help other people out, and I always say I'm an auxiliary player. So if I can see help someone via promos or whatever, get signed to somewhere or just go work internationally, and it's just because of something I've helped them with, whether it be like promos or whatever. That would be my goal, just to help others. I know it's very utilitarian.
No, absolutely. Like no goals to work for the bigger company.
Oh, I mean,
state or
if it happens that's comes up, I would be more than happy to work interstate or show, maybe even World Series Wrestling.
Ooh.
Commentate one of their shows while they're down here.
Absolutely.
Just see RCW rise to its highest heights it could possibly go.
Okay, nice. I like that. That's awesome, man. Time is about to run out, but that's okay because we're just going to throw some more questions at you because you know what? I like talking to you, so
thank you.
Let's keep it up.
Well, I like talking to you too.
Well, I like asking questions. So, if you were a wrestler,
yes, what
match type would you want to compete in the most?
Oh, okay. If I was, see, this is the thing. I'm not a wrestler, which is funny, and funny because I would have you say, you look at me and you think, why isn't this guy a wrestler? He's a 20-something-year guy. He looks relatively in decent shape. You know, why
He's
is
got
it
the long hair.
I got long hair. I look a bit wrestlery, but I'm not a wrestler. So, but if I was, what match would I want to compete in? That's a very interesting question. I think I've always liked the idea of a ladder match. A ladder match has always appealed to me. Just I think you can do a lot. There's a lot of creativity you can do with one of those matches. It feels big. You know, it feels big when you're in a ladder match.
Absolutely. And what would you not want to compete in? Number one.
Oh no, deathmatch easily.
Deathmatch?
Easily.
Okay.
And it's funny.
Number one answer.
I know people. Yeah, well, it may be, but I know people who are like, "Oh, I've always wanted to compete in a deathmatch." I don't know. It's not that it's the brutality of the deathmatch that gets me. I think it's what you can do with a deathmatch that I would find difficult.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I've seen really, really, really good deathmatches, and I've seen really, really bad deathmatches.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's a fine line, isn't there?
Yeah.
It's tricky. Yeah.
No, definitely. You're right though. I've seen my fair share of death matches a lot lately because it's been big in the Australian scene.
Yes.
And you can definitely see some ones that are just like, just out there just smashing shit for the sake of it, and then you can see ones that actually tell a bit of a story.
Yes.
And can lead to like one of my best ones I've seen is the finish of one was the guy's all cut. He got salt thrown on him and lemon thrown on him, and then put into like a sharpshooter or something with his face in the lemon and salt.
Yeah.
And that's the story that he told to get to that stage was really good. So
Well, see what I like about it, I before COVID I would go to Japan quite a lot, and I went to Big Japan Wrestling was one of my favorites. Like I still say to this day my favorite live experience at a wrestling show is BJW.
Nice.
And they're a company very similar to Deathmatch Down Under, actually, down here in Australia, where you've got a normal standard wrestling division and a deathmatch division, and they kind of kept separate.
Yeah.
But if you go and watch one of those death matches, like the guys are really talented first and foremost. There's a guy Isami Kadoka who's like he could have been a star anywhere.
Yeah, right.
Like he's a really talented guy, but he does deathmatch. He's got cuts all over him.
Yeah.
But you watch these matches and it's like the way that they build and escalate, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
Like regular moves don't get the job done. It's like a guy you would think of like a finisher. It doesn't get the 3 count, but then they'll do something else. They'll use a weapon. They'll use their signature weapon. They'll do some crazy thing, and that will get a 3.
Yeah.
So there's interesting stuff you can do with that. So I definitely am I would say a deathmatch fan overall.
Yeah.
But it has to be done right.
It's good when you've got the workers in there that can actually wrestle. Like you're saying, like that guy from Japan. If they can actually wrestle and do some pretty cool moves in the ring, it makes it a lot better. When you got the guys that just obviously can't wrestle, no offense, but and they're just smashing weapons for the sake of it, that gets a bit.
Oh, I think it's like you said there. Like when guys, I think transition from they're a regular wrestler and they're kind of average, and it's like, well, maybe I could find my calling in deathmatch wrestling. Yeah. And then it's like they don't have the fundamentals to really pull off what you need for deathmatch.
Yeah, to get that story across.
But again, I'm not in the deathmatch scene, so I'm prepared for all you deathmatch people to come up to me.
I'm pretty sure they don't watch this.
But I don't want to create enemies here, of course. I'm open to anything.
No, of course, and this show supports all types of wrestling, and everyone's open to opinions. So
yes.
If you do have a comment about it, fire it in, and if you want to come on the show and debate this,
come on in.
Yes,
please. I'm happy to debate.
Anyone can come in. Everyone's welcome. So that'd be awesome.
Yes.
Couple bonus, or actually one bonus question.
Bonus question, good.
Because your main company you work for obviously is Riot City.
Yes.
So I want you to list, in your opinion,
yes,
your top 3 wrestlers in Riot City. You can separate this if you want to into a male and female category, or you can just go overall.
All right.
Yeah. We're not doing anything like
that. No. I think I'll do overall because I think we have some really talented women in RCW who are definitely on par with the guys.
Definitely. Yeah.
And I think that. Wrestling is kind of heading in that way anyway, where it's women and men kind of in the same conversation. Yeah, I think it's important.
No, definitely.
So my top 3, I think it's going to be no surprise, and I'm sure if you RCW fans or anyone who's been on the show who's had the same question might say the same thing. But I'm going to go Matt Hayter.
Yeah.
He's up next in my opinion.
He's mentioned on every podcast I've done. So.
Yeah, but he is, by the way, really talented.
Yes.
And even from you watch his stuff from years and years ago, he had something discerned him from other people.
Yeah.
Like I've seen him from his maybe not his very first match, maybe not 2013, but a bit later on, he definitely grasps it. He gets it. Yeah. So I would put him there. Delta, of course.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
cannot go past her. The fact that she main evented the latest MCW show.
Yeah,
Yeah,
30-minute
30
Iron
minutes.
Man match. What a match.
And look, you know, the market for someone like Delta, I think, is endless, you know.
Oh yeah.
And I can see her in Japan, I can see her in the UK, in Mexico. Like, you could put her anywhere against anyone and you're guaranteed something great.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the other one, Chris Basso.
Yeah.
And now I'm a huge Chris Basso fan. And I think if Chris Basso was 10 years younger, he would be signed like that.
Yeah.
Like, he is that good. And it's a shame that he isn't out there like he should be.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
it's a
for
real shame. And like I mentioned, you know, Chris Basso, Matt Hayter, you could put that match almost up against any other match, and it's like it's truly like world class, as they say.
There you go, world class.
There you go.
No, definitely. I agree. I think that top three is very, very good, and those three obviously deserve to be up there. And yeah, like you said, put those any three of those combinations in a match, and you're going to get a good match.
Oh,
let alone,
absolutely.
Matt and Chris. So yeah, absolutely.
But you know, RCW, we have such great talent anyway. Like yourself, you know. Like I felt like it would have been, you know, I'm a bit biased to mention you sitting next to me, but you're doing
I don't know
great
what you're
stuff,
talking about, mate. I'm not a wrestler.
Well, sure. But you know, you know, Matt Basso is fantastic. The recently retired Big Brody Marshall.
Yeah.
You know, if he was still active and he was 10 years younger, you know, he's an absolute star.
Yeah.
Yeah, like so
Well,
many.
it's hard to name exact top three when you've got such big talent and different varieties of talent. But
Yeah.
really good answer for that one, man. So that's the end of our questions.
Okay. Sure.
I appreciate you going through them.
Good question.
So we're going to go through some photos now. Now, I did mention to you off air, just a disclaimer for everyone, I don't have many photos of Angus. And that's okay, because we're going to sit back and tell some stories, and he's going to tell me all about the wrestling that he enjoys. So photos are skimp, but story's going to be there. So
I'm gonna ramble, so get ready for some rambling.
We're going to keep this as our normal long episodes that you'll love,
of course,
and you're all here for. So we'll smash that out in a minute.
Well, I mean, the thing is, you know, you mentioned photos, right? Like, I'm the guy behind a microphone, and I've spent most of my time in wrestling behind the camera as well. So
yeah, so there's no big action shots of Canadian destroyers
and
stuff like that. So
I'm here.
Flippies and...
No. I think the most anything I've done, there was this guy Rachel who might have pushed me a tiny bit. And that's physical.
We should have got a photo of that. Yeah.
That's as physical as I've ever gotten.
That's alright.
And I don't plan on it. Maybe I'll say why I don't want to be a wrestler later in this episode.
There we go.
Stay tuned.
Alright, Angus, got these photos ready?
Oh yes, I don't know what I'm in for here, but
it's like I said, it's not many to go through, but a couple of little surprises in there, and then some nice photos of you doing your thing. So
good, yes, okay. I hope there's lots of photos of me looking good, flattering photos.
Well, in your nice suits, which we're it's a bit warm tonight.
I'm going to get a bit casual. You should have asked.
I did. Sorry.
If you want me in suit attire.
The email didn't go through to the manager. The internet cut out. It's cheap. It's a cheap operation here, mate. Dial-ups. You know, it's pretty cheap still.
All right. Well, let's see what we got.
So photo number 1.
Oh my God! Why? Why is that photo?
Look, I told you there wasn't many, so I'm just...
Sorry, I can't.
As a joke, I chucked a couple in just as a joke.
But that one, I don't mind. I don't know what that is either. I think I was like 16 at the time, and I had sepia or something. But okay, so those are my Facebook profile photos, and that was taken in Brisbane, Narang Bar to be exact.
There you go.
And I think I had a laptop that had the webcam. I reckon that was either 2009 or 2010, I want to say. It's
it's
a long time ago.
It's a long time ago. Wow, we had the little photos.
I can't believe it. Oh, look, it's me.
It's you at the Come and Show.
What a great time we had at the Come and Show. Let me tell you about the Come and Show.
Let's do it, because I am fascinated by this. There's a rock climbing wall.
Oh, that's great.
Some sort of bouncy castle.
Yes.
A wrestling ring in the country. What more can you
Well, I mean, okay, so we drove like 8 hours to get there. Some guy drove the bus. He was a bit of a shit, actually. He was a very short-tempered guy who drove the bus. And yeah, we had this deal that we would run a few events at the Cummins show. We like half hour every 45 minutes. We were on a half-hour show.
Yeah.
We had Robbie Hart come down from Wyten,
nice.
which was such a treat.
Wrestle Rampage.
Yeah, Wrestle Rampage. He had a great match with some guy in red short. Really great match. And Katie Trey wrestled him too.
Yeah, he did.
But this was fun because, see, this kind of, I guess, illustrates my talents, because on this event, see, I was calling stuff in the ring here, but then the matches would happen, I'd have to, like, we'd have cameras set up, I had the hard cam and the wide cam, and I'd start recording on the cameras, I had the sound going as well, so I was, like, doing, like, 3 things at once.
There you go.
On this show, so, and this, I think, it's, like, one of those events where it's, like, I've been, you know, I mentioned I'm a bit of an archivist, you know, I've been really trying to, every show we have like this one, which is not like a non-standard show, to get it filmed and to get it documented, and we've started RCW Blast on the YouTube channel, which is designed specifically for these kind of events. So we've had like Punk Rock Riot, we've had the Tumby Bay show, which happened like the day after this.
There's some photos of that.
So and we've got this one too. So it was just, it's like I think it's good for the wrestlers too, because the matches that kind of happen are not standard matches. They're just kind of like, well, who do we got? We got you and you, so you got to work each other.
Well, in the current climate, you're probably not going to see, for now anyway, a Robbie Hart Red Shaw or a Robbie Hart Katie Trey.
Probably not.
It's not. It's slowly, the forbidden door is slowly opening, but there's matches like that you probably won't see, and there's matches that you can throw in there. I heard there was a couple of rookies, like Vinny got a match, stuff like that. So
so Vinny, who debuted at this event, he you know, wrestled in the Riot City Rumble, and he's wrestling later at Battle for Supremacy. But the fact of the matter that he actually got to debut here on camera in front of fans, and it's on the internet, and he's had that experience before he even officially debuted, I think. Is great, because guys in the past were just, you know, out you go. You know?
100%. And like you're saying, to get that on film, to show, obviously, for the wrestlers to see it and show their families, they couldn't obviously drive 8 hours in the fans, but also to have that memory there, and for people to look at that and go, oh, you know, I live in Cummins. If they come here next year, I didn't know that was on. I'll go there next year, or I live in a town that's close by. I'll come there next year if they do it. That sort of stuff. So to get more interest and more, and then maybe some other towns could watch this and go, oh, let's have it at our show.
It was a really fun day too. Like we had a great time. Worth the trip. So
yeah, absolutely. I think we got another one of the Cummins. Just showing the rock climbing wall a bit more.
And that rock climbing wall too. We spotted it on the way up to Cummins. It was because we drove, like, you know, the 8 hours to get there. I think we stopped at Port Augusta to refuel, and the rock climbing wall was there. And we were like, where's that rock climbing wall going? We all wondered. And then, yes, later on we found the rock climbing wall. I
heard there was a buck and ball there as well.
Yes, there's a buck and ball, and there's a jumping castle, and there's, if you actually watch it, because this some of the matches from this event are on YouTube. If you actually watch it, you have this really surreal image of like people climbing a rock wall, people jumping on a sticky wall, and then there's like horses riding in the back. And that's what I love about wrestling. It's like you can do it almost anywhere. You put up a ring, get some people, there you go, you're wrestling. And in 2023, I want to see more unique kind of stuff like this, because it really does, I just think, it does show like the scope of Riot City Wrestling, the scalability of our operation, that we can do this, you know?
Absolutely, like I said, like a show, the punk rock show at the Uni Bar, but beer and barbecue, you just grab the ring, stick it somewhere, and you can just put on shows for people and try different stuff and give people matches that may not, you know, be ready for matches on the main shows.
Oh yeah, more time, and we have we have Alex Alexson in his
cowboy
hat,
look at him,
which I think someone put on his head in the first match, and he kind of just wore it the rest of the day.
And we're showing the jumpy castle in the background, the horses in the background.
By the way, I actually got really sunburned after this day. Like I had no sunscreen on the entire time, and I was out there for every single. We had like 5 shows that day, so I was there for all of them, and I remember coming back to Adelaide and going back to work the next few days. I had like really bad heat stroke.
Oh, man.
Like I felt like way out of it, and I was but it was fun. It was fun, and the memories will last a lifetime.
Exactly. And they're all on the RSW YouTube, or most of the matches are. So again, a blast.
The good ones, the bad ones, not so much.
We never had bad
No,
matches.
we
right?
never. Hey!
Here we go.
Yeah, so this was a
Big entrance.
big, yes, exactly. And the thing I really appreciated about this, you know, we have other like ring announcers. You've got other auxiliary stuff like Paul Roberts. Shout out to the legend himself.
Is it Paul or Sean?
Yes, that's right. The real voice of Australian wrestling. And we've got Luke Hazard, the real voice of SA Wrestling, and we've got the Informer Eddie Anderson, we've got Carmine Laguzio, we've got all these guys. But it was a real privilege because I was the only one of them who came on this trip.
Yeah.
So it was a real privilege to be able to be like the host for this. This is the first time ever at Tumby Bay. And we had the whole thing set up. Actually, I gotta be honest, like this was a really good setup for this show. We had like we filmed it all. We had great sound. We had a great entrance. I don't think I'm allowed to say whose yard we're entering from there.
Oh, I think everyone knows. I think everyone knows.
One of the guys who's from Tumby Bay, who was on the show, lives behind that curtain.
It wasn't called the Tour Down Under for no reason.
Yeah. So it was great because that garage was actually where his parents like store their boats and stuff, and they were really accommodating. Everyone at Tumby was really accommodating. Yeah. And too, like one of our regular fans is kind of in the front of this picture.
In the photo, yeah.
Yes, and it was great to see them too because
we had I think there was like 4 or 5 regular fans that went down, or 6 regular fans.
And they came up and they like had a great conversation. They drove all the way up to see us, and I think I appreciate that. Yeah. I really appreciate the people who make that effort to come that long way out. To see Riot City Wrestling, and this was a great show, by the way.
And it gives people that may have not been to those towns before, so they give them a look around some country towns, put some money into the economy. So and look at this entrance. You got dirt kicking up.
I'm wearing my dress shoes as well.
Boots on, kicking up some dirt.
Yeah, and that mural there, by the way, is a very famous mural painted by a famous mural artist who they got into Tumby Bay. And they had this I think January, maybe some Tumby Bay locals, if you're watching, can correct me. But they have these mural festivals where they come in and they paint these murals. So I think some Austrian or German artist came and painted that.
Oh, nice. I know they do the silos around the country towns. They come in and do those. So that's cool, man.
Look at my hair.
Look at the hair blowing in the wind.
What am I standing for? Is that the red? No, that's that shed over there. But yeah, we had, I reckon, about 400 people at this one. And it was a lot of fun. I really hope we get to do it again next year. But like I think going from being, because I was a fan of Riot City Wrestling before I ever got involved. I came to Adelaide. I think January 2019 I moved here, and then 3 weeks later I was like, oh, what's the local scene like? Yeah. And I think going from being a fan to actually being able to do this is like, a dream come true, as they say. Yeah.
So you obviously a Brisbane boy.
I'm a Brisbane boy.
Were you watching the scene in Brisbane? Were you going to shows in Brisbane, or were you just sort of watching the TV stuff?
Well, I was doing a bit of both actually, because I was like a fan of wrestling from way back, and then I kind of like WWE. I kind of like fell out of it, Yeah. And I think most people go through that when they get older, because they realize like there's more out there.
Yeah, you get busy with other stuff. You can't just finish school and watch wrestling all the time once you start life and stuff.
Yeah, so I reckon I was out of WWE for a good number of years, and then I kind of got back into wrestling, and at that time I think New Japan was really kicking off. That was around the time they had AJ Styles and Kenny Omega was coming through, and so I went to Wrestle Kingdom 11, which was in January 2017. So I flew over with Carmine Laguzio. We flew over to Japan. Oh wow! And I wasn't really exposed to much, New Japan. Yeah. But I watched this show and I was like blown away by it. I was like, what is going on here in Japan? There is something happening here. And I remember Tetsuya Naito and Hiroshi Tanahashi had a great match for the Intercontinental title on that show. And I was like, this is incredible. There's no way anything's beating this. And then Kenny Omega and Okada come out, and they have that the match. They have, and I was just stunned. I was like, what? I felt like I was watching history in front of my eyes. And then later on, the next night we went to New Year's Dash, which is where Suzuki-gun came back, and I was like exposed to Minoru Suzuki for the first time, and seeing him in person. And if you actually go on New Japan World and watch New Year's Dash 2017, you might see a Riot City Wrestling commentator on camera in the audience. There's a chance, so keep an eye out for that.
There you go.
Particularly in Ricochet's entrance, you might notice.
Okay,
Yes.
Gotta play some Where's Bobby on that
Yeah,
one.
maybe. And then later on during this, because I was in Japan for about a month, at the end, like one of the last days I was there, we went to Kobe and went to Sambo Hall and watched Dragon Gate.
Ooh,
and that was a real intimate show. That was like maybe 200, 300 people.
Yeah, yeah.
And the great Shingo Takagi was on that show. I was kind of exposed to him that way. So,
Nice.
So I think seeing these guys in person really gave me a sense of like, I felt like an ownership of it. I felt like, yeah, I know these guys. You know?
Yeah.
And so I became like obsessed with New Japan after that. And then Ospreay came down to Brisbane, and he wrestled in Venom Pro Wrestling.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he wrestled. Who did he wrestle? He wrestled Jake Nova.
What the hell?
At Venom Pro Wrestling, yeah, because he was here for the New Japan tour.
Right. Oh wow, that's crazy.
So he wrestled Jake Nova. I made the drive with my brother. We drove all the way to Beenleigh from Brisbane, which is about a 45-minute hour drive, to watch him. And then I found out there's wrestling like just down the road from my house, because I was living in Fortitude Valley at the time.
Okay. Yeah.
And there was this place called the New Globe Theatre.
Right,
which was on Brunswick Street, right next to the Fortitude Valley train station, and it was this real rundown, like kind of venue, but it was great. It was like this movie theater that had been like disused, right, and it was like a bar and like a live event place.
Yeah.
But they still had like the chairs from the movie theater, so it was like a movie theater with like a wrestling ring in front of it, and it was like maybe 100 people there, and like hardly anyone.
Yeah.
But it was like in darkness, and so these guys would be wrestling. And the fans would like yell out the comments all the time, like Simpsons references and stuff.
Yeah.
And it was really funny. Like the fans were part of the show, kind of. So I went to a lot of those shows at the New Globe Theatre until it closed down. And then they moved to the Zoo, which was another club in Fortitude Valley, and I went there for a while.
Yeah.
And but they were doing wrestling and bands. And
okay.
I wasn't a huge fan of that.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Because, the punk rock Riot shows,
Yeah,
it's kind of like that, but imagine that every show.
Right, okay.
And so I kind of stopped going after that, and then, then I moved to Adelaide, and long story short, Riot City Wrestling is where I am.
Nice.
Yes. I hope I didn't bore you with that story.
No, you definitely didn't bore me, so I appreciate that one, man.
Hey, more of me.
Another one there, yeah, just looking good.
Yeah, well, this was a very hot day as well. I think this didn't help my sunstroke at all.
Especially not the day after the camera.
Hey, tan pants!
What's going on there?
Well, I found a pair of tan pants, and I was like, I'm going to try out tan pants. I think it's a homage to Josh Armour, who used to wear tan pants.
Okay, yes. Nice,
the great RCW announcer. So he wore tan pants, and I was like, oh, I'm going to honour him.
No,
Actually, that's not true, but I found I had a pair of tan pants. But where was it? This must be the most recent. This must be the Rumble.
No, I think this is at the Academy, I reckon, isn't it?
You reckon the Academy? It was either one of the last two shows, yeah. So before the show, we do a little preamble, which is the only time the fans really get to see me. But it's fine, because I'm, as I said, I'm not there to be the center of attention.
No.
That we can talk about why am I not a pro wrestler. I think it's because I have confidence. I have like a bit, I exude confidence. I can talk, obviously. But I don't want to be like that kind of guy. The scrutiny of being a pro wrestler is probably too much for me. But also the bumps and I happen to date a pro wrestler, and I see her come home from training, and she's sore, or she comes home from a match and she's sore, or one time at the Fringe she bumped her knee in a match, and we had to go to the emergency department for a soft tissue injury. So I see that up close, and I think there are guys who really want this.
Yeah.
There are people in there who train 4 or 5 times a week. They really want this. I'm not that guy.
Yeah.
Because I did actually think about with Carmine Laguzio trying out at some point. Like I thought about it.
Yeah.
And I was like going to the gym like at that time as well, really intensely. Not as intense as I do now. I had a real drive at that time, like in early 2019.
Okay. Yeah.
And like I got in pretty good shape, and he did too. And we're like, yeah, let's maybe we should try out.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We kind of just like thought about it, and we never really like came to it like, let's actually do this.
Yeah, that's
and
fair enough.
And I think now 4 years into my wrestling career, whatever, it's like I enjoy the other side of it more. I think.
Yeah.
Because there are really good people who do it.
Yeah.
And I see these guys and they're really, really good, and I just think like, why not help them get even better? You know?
Well, no,
in any way I can.
It's completely understandable, and we need people like you, and we appreciate people like you in the industry that do all the hard work, that get the videos for the wrestlers,
Sure.
that do all the ring announcing, that call out the names for them. So we need those people. So we appreciate you, what you do, and the fact that you've chosen to do this.
Look at me.
Looking very serious.
And the thing is too, it's like me being like, now I guess I'm an on-screen character. Like that was never my my intention really either.
Yeah.
You know, I kind of was shocked like everyone else was when Sean Fuster left. Earlier this year. And I have the utmost respect for the guy too. Like him and I are very, well, I hope we're good friends. I think we're good friends. And you know, I was always like working with those guys to produce the audio for the commentary and that kind of thing. And then he, I think he just, you know, he'd been doing it for 8 years. And I think when you do anything for 8 years, you kind of get your fill of it. And so then he left, and then I got a message from the management team, and they were like, "Hey, do you want to come in and fill the spot?" Not that I'd like really shown any interest really in being a commentator before that, but I'd done some stuff like some voiceover work and some like I did those RCW rewind videos, which kind of gave me a little chance to do some sort of play-by-plays and things like that. And then I just kind of started, and the idea was, you know, let's just see how you go, and if you're good at it, then we'll keep you on. If you're shit at it, we'll let you know. If you really suck, we'll tell you. And I think I've developed a really good dynamic with Paul Roberts, and now that we've got, you know, Brody Marshall coming in, I'm very excited to see where that kind of goes.
Yeah, what a big announcement at the Rumble. And
a three-man booth's a tough because, you know, you have to work it so that you don't interrupt each other, and everyone has a role to play.
I'm sure Brody will be drunk half the time anyway, so he won't say much. Talking about Paul Roberts.
Paul Roberts, my partner in crime. Yeah, him and I have a really great dynamic, I think. I think, you know, he provides that like experience, and like, he's more of the color guy.
Yeah.
And I'm like the fast play-by-play guy who knows the names of all the moves, and then like I think I'm the Excalibur to his Tony Schiavone almost.
No, that's fair enough.
Because, you know, he's the guy with the experience. He's been in the industry for a long time.
Definitely.
And it's funny because, you know, I was telling him before I even had the idea for RCW Blast, I was talking with him about it.
Yeah.
And he used to work for a company called Pro Wrestling Ignition.
Okay.
Which was Joel Bateman's company when he was in South Australia.
Right.
Yeah, and they had a show called Cyber Slam. Which was a web show, and they would show matches from random like county fairs and country shows.
That's cool.
So I feel like RCW Blast is almost like a spiritual successor.
Yeah.
But that's where he got his start, because he did, and I'm sure he'll tell the story if you ever get him on. But he was the web guy.
Yeah, okay.
At first, and then...
Well, he's definitely a target for this show, or not, I shouldn't say target, but he's definitely on the list.
Yeah, so I don't want to tell his story, but he got his like on-camera start with Cyber Slam.
That's awesome. Can you still look that up or not?
Yeah, I think it is on YouTube, actually.
Ah.
Yeah, him and Michael Weaver. They were the Cyber Slam guys.
No way, okay.
Yeah.
I have to do some digging and find that out.
Because that's the thing with Adelaide. Somehow it's like a breeding ground for companies.
Yeah, well, we know that now.
Yeah, there's so many. But
one thing I do love about this photo, and it's been in a couple of others, you're wearing suits, great, but you have a wrestler or a company shirt under your suit. Yes. Which I really love. Like, you've got the Riot City on Paul. You've got the
Matt Hader.
Yes. Matt Hader.
And the other one.
And the other one, you had Riot City. You had the Rumble at the Red Roof shirt.
Yes.
So I really love and dig that you keep it cash with the wrestler shirts.
I always try to promote the merch as well. Like on RCW Blast recently, we were promoting the Tour Down Under shirt as well.
Yeah, nice.
Like I think it's like I like merchandise. I like wrestlers having merchandise. Yeah, it makes them feel bigger or something. And if fans go to the show, then they can buy something.
Well, I think the fact that not that I would know, but
not that you would know.
You're wrestling in the ring and you see a kid in the front row or an adult wearing a shirt that has your design on there. It makes you give you that rock star feeling, and it's special to have people supporting you and wearing your merchandise.
Yeah.
Just like, wear a band's shirt or something
I'm
like
just
that.
wearing a shirt that says California on it. So.
But yeah, we go to our favourite gigs and movies and different shit, and we buy the shirts for them.
Yeah.
So they have people buy the rest of the shirts.
The merch in RCW is really good, by the way. Like, a lot of the guys have really leveled up the merchandise game.
Definitely.
And that shirt Paul's wearing is the original RCW logo.
Oh, there you go.
We had like this fist back in the day, and it had on the knuckles. I think it was like R.C.W or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've had a few logos over the years, but yeah, there you go. That's me, Paul.
I think nothing compared to the new logo. I think that's a pretty good one.
Ah, yes. I see. That's me. That's me demonstrating the fist of Paul Roberts. Yes. I don't know. I'm slowly developing some kind of like persona or something.
Yeah.
Because it's like, when you go out there, you want to be yourself, but turn up to 11.
Well, it's wrestling. Every wrestler is not their self in the ring. It's them turned up to a volume and playing that character, or just being the amplified version of themselves. So you can't just go in there and be yourself. You need to play to the crowd. So define yourself and find what you can do.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I'm only like a year or so into being like an on-screen persona as well.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
And I don't want to be too over the top, because I don't serve like a point of being like anything more than really like a guy who tells people what's going on.
Yeah.
And I say that on commentary too. I say, my job is to explain things to you, explain what's happening.
Yeah.
But I think having like something that people can latch onto as well makes a bit of a difference.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, you don't want to just be like a dry kind of stick in the mud.
No. You still have your personality and you play your character role.
Yeah.
But like you said, you're there to enhance the talent. You're not there to overshine them. So.
I mean, even right here, this is just me shilling the t-shirt.
Yeah, exactly. And you have your fun when you're out there as well. So no, it's good, man.
Yeah, exactly. And there's the legendary Luke Hazard. I'll tell you about Luke Hazard. I was a big fan of Luke Hazard before I got involved in pro wrestling.
Yeah.
Like I would visit Adelaide like all the time from like years ago. Like, you go back almost to 10 years. I've been coming to Adelaide before I moved here.
Yeah.
And I would go to Wrestle Rampage shows.
Wow.
Not RCW shows. I actually didn't go to an RCW show until I moved here.
Wow, there you go.
But I went to Wrestle Rampage shows before. I don't know how, I just knew of them somehow. They just maybe haven't had a big interstate presence at that time. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I'd go there and like Luke Hazard would be there, and Benjamin Rosenthal, and Ain't Other Strange.
Yeah.
And I was like a legitimate fan of these people's work. Like,
nice.
I was just this guy in the crowd, and it's sometimes quite surreal just to see a picture like this of me with Luke Hazard, who by the way, did you know Luke Hazard was on the very first ever independent show in South Australia?
No way.
Yes, he was on in 1999, about 23 years ago now.
Yeah.
He wrestled on the first show, which was called PWSA The Beginning.
Wow.
So the only guys currently active on that show was Luke Hazard, Jag, and Havoc.
No way. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's been doing it a very, very long time, and Paul Roberts too. They've both been doing it, and Paul's been going to shows for years and years and years. So I think I offer like the youth maybe.
Yeah.
That's my thing.
Well, yeah, like you were saying before, they've got the experience and they can tell, they can give that experience in the booth, and then you've got that nice play-by-play, the quick moves and that stuff, because obviously some of the moves that happen now didn't happen back in their days when they were, coming up through there. Luke wrestling, Paul's done a little bit. And then, the new moves, the new names, the different companies, the new this and that. So you're keeping them up with that. So
and I do keep abreast of pretty much all the major companies across Australia. Like, I think it's important if you're involved in wrestling to show some love to the other companies.
Yeah.
Because you'd want the same in return. Like,
absolutely. And then one day, one of the companies could be like, hey, we're in doubt, we need someone, so come over and do something for us. So,
exactly, yeah. Like, I mean, I think Australia is right now a pretty good scene, I would have to say. Like, I think all the big companies are drawing particularly well. I know right now EPW is trying to get the biggest attendance ever at their Reawakening show coming up.
Massive show.
Big venue. I know PCW has drawn like over 1,000 people before in basketball stadiums. So like, we're a good breeding ground for wrestlers, and just look at the talent that's gone off to do bigger and better things.
Yeah.
So I don't see any reason why the whole scene itself, if it worked together, couldn't produce something really great.
That's right, absolutely, and that's the key word: work together. So.
Well, I'm a big fan of that, and I don't like this individualist kind of nature, just working as an island unto yourself. I think it's important to be able to spread. And you'll see that like in Adelaide right now. If you go to like an ACW or PWSA show, you'll see RCW guys. Yeah. And even now with RCW and Wrestle Rampage, it's like that working kind of relationship is slowly happening. Yeah. And as the historian, I'm aware of like the political maltreasons as why this stuff hasn't happened in the past. Yeah. But it's a new era now, I think. Yeah, absolutely. I think times are changing, and we can work together. We can all get it done.
No, absolutely, and that's that's the key word, working together there, and the fact that you've got all these states that have amazing talents, and then once they start to mingle, and the matches that you could have, and the matches that you can come up with out of that, endless possibilities, and then endless opportunities for wrestlers to travel interstate. And there's been lots that have come to Adelaide and worked, the smaller companies, the ACWs, the PWSAs, but the fact that they're getting exposure here, and then they can take back, names for their company, and then people from here can go over there. So
and I think to make this to bring this back to me, that's why I'm so keen on getting shows out to as many people as possible, editing shows, and like if you're running a wrestling company and you're not filming your shows in any way, I'm not saying you have to be like RCW where you've got like 3 4K cameras filming everything, editing it in like that way, uploading it all. Just something.
Or even just footage for your wrestlers to watch.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you're not documenting your shows in any way, you're doing a disservice to the fans, to the wrestlers, because like there is a large community out there who wants to see this stuff. Yeah. Even if it's like free on YouTube, or IWTV is great. I'm subscribed to that, and I do watch like pretty much every DMDU show. Yeah. I know Adrenaline Pro has got their stuff on there, or even a New Zealand company, Reaper Pro, which is like a deathmatch company over there. Yeah. They started putting their stuff up on IWTV. Nice. So
and you got Fight TV as well. Yeah. MCW and all those.
They got OzWrestNet, which is good. That's where PWL and I think Wrestle Rock put their shows. Okay. Yeah. So there's a lot of choice, I think, for where you can do it, and RCW is on YouTube for free. And my logic behind that is just to get it to as many people as possible. Yeah, because I think until you have like a large enough people who are willing to like pay for it, which I'm not saying we don't. Yeah. But I'm just saying like you need to do the work to determine that.
Well, also the fact that obviously with the way the times are going, money's going and stuff like that. But if you are chucking it out there for free, and then people watch it and they come across it, or the wrestlers send it to their friends and family, and they go, "Wow, this looks really cool." We'll go to a show, and then that's when the money starts coming, because they're going to buy the tickets to the show, they might buy some food, drinks, merch.
Of course.
But the fact that they, a wrestler sends their family and they didn't have to pay $5 or $10 to watch it straight away. They can just chuck it on YouTube, sit around on TV, on the couch, watch it, and go, "Oh wow, that looks wicked, or this venue looks wicked. Alright, when's the next show? Let's go and support this wrestler, let's go support the company," or someone who likes, is Googling WWE on YouTube one day, some kid, and they go, "Oh, Riot City pops up.
Oh, of course.
Oh, let's have a look at this. Oh, mum, let's go to this." So, there's plenty of opportunities and stuff that can come from that just by putting it on YouTube.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I could not possibly agree with you anymore, because like, and that's right. Like, if you're not a wrestling fan, because we always talk about this mythical casual audience, as we talk about, which may or may not exist. We can't be certain, but I'm just saying, if not quite like a casual fan, but just a non-fan. I'm talking about non-fans here. You're 100% right, because the barrier of like paying like a couple bucks is too much of an inconvenience to a non-fan.
Also, like, not only like. The money, like paying in person, is different to paying online. Some people don't want to put, their stuff online, their credit card, different shit like that, to then go and subscribe to something, and then they've subscribed to a Fight TV or something, for example.
Yeah.
And then they've got this on their apps and the server and all that. So and then constant reminders, stuff like that. So the fact that you can just chuck up Google, YouTube, bang.
I would not to ask you this because you would know this question, but I'm just hypothetically saying to the wrestlers, I'm sure it's great for sending out to potential promoters as well. It's like, hey,
100%,
it's a free match on YouTube. And something that when I took over, I was keen to do too, was actually stop the uploading of like individual segmented matches and make them a full show as much as possible. Because I think that there's a certain experience lost when it's just a bell-to-bell match.
Yeah.
So seeing the entrance, seeing the guys come out, I know like everyone comes out, killing in the name of or some copyrighted song, but it's like, that's the small price to pay. But that's why RCW Blast exists, because I try to make that just bell to bell, full on action, in a compact way.
And you're getting that full experience, because then they see the full show, they've watched a 2.5 hour show, and they go, this was wicked. Like, that entrance, these commentators, these ring announcers, oh wow, this is awesome, let's go and actually. With all the lights and different shit. Pyro that Hayden doesn't get. Having all that and seeing all that is the experience, where if you just see the bell to bell, and then like you said, wrestlers can either download it and cut out their match, or send them the whole show to the promoter and say, hey, I'm on this show, watch it at this time, and and then
I agree. I think it's a much more full experience, and I've noticed. I'm not saying that people are copying me or anything. I've just noticed there's been a trend of other people doing it since I started doing it, because I think RCW is one of the most like viewed indies in the country when it comes to this stuff. Because I don't know what the analytics are for any other companies, but aside from the one match on YouTube that we all know about, apart from that match,
we've had the stars of that.
Apart from that match, everything else is pretty strong when it comes to viewership, and I look at all the analytics because my background, I did a business degree, so I'm very interested in all that, and I try to see what works, what doesn't work, and I'm sure the promoters of RCW are kind of sick of me because I'm always giving them like stats and things like, look at this, look at that, look at that, look at that.
But that's what you got to do though. That's the fact that can separate this company from other companies, is we've got someone like yourself that will do that work and go beyond to dig into the analytics, get all the stats, and then go, hey, if we just change this, or if we just add this, and then all of a sudden the viewers, subscribers, the money, everything goes up.
Oh yeah.
And just by slight little changes, by you actually putting in your time to do this work, is the difference between being the #1 company in the state or just being in the middle.
Oh yeah, and that was my big thing when I took the reins on the social media with YouTube specifically, was turning this channel around from being just like a dumping ground for just the promos that you see on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, to being its own separate entity.
Yeah.
And I think I'm slowly achieving that goal, because if you're to peel the curtain back, if you're anyone who's in social media, you'll know that the services, the platforms are used for different things.
Yeah.
Like Twitter is used differently to Instagram, which is used differently to Facebook, which is YouTube. So you have to know what content to put where.
Yeah.
And that's important. And I think the way I've kind of positioned the YouTube channel now into being sort of its own thing with like long form content and the shows, and we present the stuff on camera now, which in the past I was just putting things on there, contextless. Yeah. But now I'm getting into actually like being a presenter and all this. So it's a learning process. It's step by step.
Yeah.
But I enjoy it, and that's the key, folks. If you have any takeaway, I enjoy it.
Yes.
And I wouldn't do it if I didn't enjoy it.
100%. No, that's awesome, man. So yeah, I appreciate you looking at those photos. Obviously, like I said, didn't have many photos, but all the photos I find of you are pretty much the same thing. You standing in the ring with a microphone.
It's pretty much all I do.
So, but that's awesome, man, because you're living your little dream and you love it.
Exactly.
And you enjoy it, like you said. So that's the main thing. So appreciate you looking at them. Appreciate you telling some stories there. We're going to go talk about your social media and stuff in a minute. Sure. All right, Angus. So thank you for looking at those.
Thank you.
So I'd love for you now, if you have any social media for your wrestling that you want to plug. Obviously, you don't have to do private stuff.
Yes.
But any social media for yourself or companies, stuff like that, and then any events or anything that's coming up, feel free to plug those.
Well, I'm on Twitter at Angus Dacey. You can find me there. Instagram too, I think at Angus Dacey as well. I try to keep it consistent.
Nice.
YouTube, you can find me on the RCW YouTube channel, of course.
Nice. Yeah.
But I do have other YouTube channels as well.
Go for
I'm gonna dox myself here.
There we go. We'll put all the links in the description, guys, so you can check them out.
So you can find my own YouTube channel, which I haven't uploaded to for a few months, but I do like videos of like Let's Plays and sort of video game stuff.
Nice.
And I've done a couple movie reviews with a certain pro wrestler who you've had on your podcast before.
Oh, okay. Nice.
You can see that. So that's Nintendo Gen 64 is the YouTube channel.
Nice.
I created that when those early photos were taken. I was probably doing Let's Plays at that time. So Nintendo Gen 64 is my YouTube channel, which goes way, way back. You can even find, if you go back far enough, I did like review podcasts of like WWE pay-per-views.
Oh, nice.
So if you go far back enough, have fun with that one. And you can also find me, I split my time these days between Riot City Wrestling and ISGP, which is the International Spyro Grand Prix.
Okay, wicked.
Which is a speedrunning tournament web YouTube thing. So we do speedruns of Spyro, of Crash Bandicoot, of pretty much 3D platformers from the PlayStation 1 era.
Yeah.
So we kind of theme that around wrestling a little bit. There's a little bit of a wrestling twist there. Like we do these events which are kind of like pay-per-view kind of things.
Yeah.
So we've got a whole thing like that. So ISGP, you can check me out there.
Nice.
And that's pretty much the main ones.
Yeah, well,
there's probably some other ones I forgot. But yeah.
No, that's cool, man. So yeah, we'll put all the links in the description, guys. So get on there, have a look. Subscribe to all these channels. Give him a follow and everything on Twitter and that.
That's right.
Yeah, support him. Support obviously the local scene, Riot City. You'll see him on all the shows there on YouTube. Yeah. And it's free, guys. YouTube.
Watch the shows because I'm always keen for feedback.
Yeah.
Of any kind. Like I'm very open to. If you watch a YouTube video, comment on it. Let me know.
Comment on it, or send him a tweet or something, and just say, hey, like this commentating was really good, or this was shit, or whatever you want to say. Any feedback's good feedback in this industry. So help him out and help out the scene. But any big events coming up for yourself and the company?
Yeah, we've got Battle for Supremacy coming up in a couple of weeks on next week, probably December 17th.
Yeah.
For Riot City Wrestling, so that's huge. So come along to that one. That's at the Brighton Performing Arts Centre.
Ooh, nice.
And I'll be there, and we've got Matt Hayter, Katie Trey.
Yeah.
RCW Championship match.
Big match.
And then we've got some really big events coming up in 2023. Also on the RCW YouTube channel, RCW Blast. We've got some big episodes coming up.
Nice.
We've got a episode on the Best of Battle for Supremacy Volume 1.
There we go. Okay.
That's coming up next week as well, the same day as Battle for Supremacy. So December 17th. You can watch that as a refresher and then come along to the show.
Nice.
And then the week after, December 30th, we'll have a big review, like year-end review show for Riot City Wrestling on Blast.
Cool.
So we'll go through some of the big moments and stuff that's happened this year. So watch that if you want. And then 2023, even more stuff. So lots of things to come.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. No, that's really cool. I reckon that review show will be definitely worth watching. Yeah. So that's awesome.
So much stuff's happened this year, so we'll get onto that. Yeah.
But no, that's awesome, dude. So that brings us to the end of the show, man. I really appreciate you coming on. It's something different for the show.
Yeah, I hope I've provided something different.
No, it's been great, man. I've had a great time. And like I said, you're very appreciated and very, everyone's very thankful for the stuff you do
thank you.
On camera and off camera, because you do have a very busy job. Obviously editing all the videos and doing that.
And I have a real job on top of that.
And a real job on top of that. Yeah, this is not like most wrestlers, this is not his real job. So
no, that's right. Even though some people thought it was. Like some people think because I'm so involved and I'm paid by RCW or something. I have a job and I have lots of things on top of it, but I do it because I love it.
So, like all wrestlers, he does it because he loves it. He's got a job, life, family, partner, all that sort of stuff. So, if you see him around at the shows, just give him a thank you for putting out the stuff and making it accessible for you guys.
Yeah.
Because, you know, Riot City wouldn't be where they are now, obviously, as good as they are without him, with all the work that he's done and the crew. So yeah, we're very thankful for you, man.
Thank you. And I don't do it on my own, of course. Like I've got all the great camera guys, Carmine Laguzio, who one day maybe you'll get on the show too. He's been a really great help as well throughout all this. And you know, there's a team of guys who do the social media, like well, I won't mention them because I'm sure they'll mention themselves. But there is a team of us. It's not just me. I do rely on other people.
You got people running on the cameras. You got people doing the social media posts on the phone, the promo filming.
But behind the scenes has so much that goes into it. You think about it, every month you've got a show that goes for 2 hours. There's probably, I mean, even in the setup and preparation, there's hours and hours that go into that 2 hours you see every month.
Yeah.
So,
if you're someone who wants to get into the wrestling industry but doesn't want to actually wrestle, then there's plenty of jobs for you to do, and there's plenty of jobs that need to be done. So, by all means, if you want to get involved and be in there and be in the backstage and do all that sort of stuff, just head down to the local promotion wherever you are in SA or another state, and just mention like, hey, I'm keen to be involved. I don't want to be an actual wrestler, but I want to be a cameraman or woman. I want to be a social media expert, and this is what I can bring to the table. And 9 times out of 10, they'll probably say, "Thank you. Start next week."
Well, that's how I got in. I just kind of offered my services, and if you see me, come and have a chat to me because I know all about coming through sort of the weird, wonderful back channels.
Yeah. So if you see him at a show, or hit him up on his Insta or Twitter if you're not in the state.
Of course.
Flick him a message and just say, hey, how do I actually do this? And he'll step it out for you.
By all
and
means.
you can get involved. And it gives you something great to do. And if you love wrestling already, like what better thing to do?
Yeah, it's a fantastic hobby. It's a fantastic thing. It's taught me a lot about various things. It taught me about audio, about video, about lighting, sound, editing, just so much. So please, by all means.
Oh, that's awesome, man. So yeah. Thank you again. I appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you.
And all the best for the next show, man.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
I might see you there. And I might see you there.
We'll see all of you there.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you, man. Thank you for joining me on another episode of Beers and Brawls. Another big thank you to my guest, Angus. It was awesome to have someone of his caliber on the show, and just to hear about all his stories and his experiences getting into wrestling and everything he does behind the scenes. It's crazy. The amount of jobs this guy does, and the team at Riot City that they put in, the work they put in is amazing. So like I said, hit him up, follow all his YouTube channels, his Twitter and that sort of stuff. And if you want to get involved, message him through that. But that brings us to the end of today's episode, which is also the end of season 3. It's crazy to think that this show, it was something that just started in a pandemic lockdown, just for something to do. And now it's turned into 3 seasons, and we will be returning next year for season 4. Don't you worry about that. Still a long list of wrestlers to interview here in SA and around Australia, so don't worry, we're not going anywhere. We've got a big show planned for you next year, so have an awesome break over the holiday season, and we'll see you all next year.